We've got a $250 anonymous donation. Thank you so much for that. Anonymous is just really bringing the heat this whole marathon. And I've got $10 from Dianis26. They say, how do I power up a donation train ticket for the Eternal Darkness run? Let's add some Pargons. Pargon, 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 Pargon. Thank you so much for that. Obviously an Eternal Darkness fan. The word from Eternal Darkness that's always in my head is Chaturga. And we've got Kayesa Block with $50 donation. They say, I remember playing Eternal Darkness as a child. Looking forward to seeing this game obliterated. Good luck to the runner. Stay awesome. Well, you know what? I got some great news. I've got the runner here ready to roll. So we're going to take it over to Pandora Jane, running Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. GDQ, chat, everyone, looking wherever you're. And I'm here, your runner, Pandora, and I'm presenting you Eternal Darkness for the first time at a GDQ with a very, very interesting category, 80% no cutscene storage. But I'm not alone, sorry. So I'm gonna present to you my couch. So we have BigNoNo.
Hello, I'm BigNoNo. I also run this game sometimes.
Then we have GibGirl.
Hi, I'm GibGirl. I've run this game a few times.
And we have kazmcdemon.
Hello, I'm Kaz. I speedrun indie platformers, but don't tell anybody.
All right, so we're gonna tell you all about this game, but first, let's start. So, we're gonna start on 3, 2, 1, go. So, anyone, tell me, what is this game about?
Well, you know, this game is Eternal Darkness. Came out in 2002. The intro plot here, this is Alexandra. She's kind of the main character. There's going to be a bunch of characters that we explore through the game. Right now, she's experiencing a nightmare. She's going to wake up and she's going to find out that her grandfather was killed in a mysterious fashion. His face was just gone, missing a head. No one knows what happened, so she has to go to her grandfather's mansion in Rhode Island and try to figure out what exactly went on. Through the course of the game, we're going to find a book called The Tome of Eternal Darkness. We're going to read from it several pages, and each chapter basically is going to explore these different characters in different time periods, and we're going to carry forward the knowledge from those chapters so that Alexandra will have that knowledge and progress through the game.
All right, so we're gonna solve this puzzle right here. 333. Only true Eternal fans will get that. And then after that, we're gonna get the Tome of Eternal Darkness, which is kind of a Necronomicon. Exactly. So Alex is gonna take some time to get impressed there. That's because I punched the door when I open, so if any of you can tell me what happens when I punch doors on this game.
Oh, yeah.
So when you go through a door, normally on the other side of the door, Alex closes it, or whichever character closes the door and then turns around. Well, for some reason, if you punch a door on the other side, there's no animation. You're just facing the right way. So it's a very short time save, but there are a lot of doors in this game. So we save a lot of time added up.
Yep, this guy here, his name is Pius Augustus. He's a Roman legionnaire, about 30 BC. Basically, he's just going through the desert. He gets separated from his main group, and he hears some voices coming from obelisks, and he's like, whoa, I gotta check that out. And so now he's in this creepy underground dungeon, and we're gonna see what happens to him, basically.
You're gonna
So
see
this right here is the first streak. Yeah, go ahead, no. Tell me about it.
Yeah, we're gonna explain the same thing. So these pickups, usually in Eternal Darkness, when you pick up an item, there's this big camera transition that like zooms into the item. However, if you have something in the trajectory of the camera, generally it'll skip that transition, which is much faster. So we try to do that as fast as possible. So it's really important to position yourself correctly when picking up these items.
Yeah, and right here you're gonna see 4 runes. So all these runes and these colors are related to ancients in this game, eldritch gods if you want. And also these colors are related to stats in the game. So we have health was the red one, this one is magic, Uyoth, and then we have the green one. This mantra, don't worry about that for now. It's a secret. Don't worry, don't tell anyone. And then we're gonna go to Celotad, which is the green one, probably the most interesting. Compared to other horror games, this is the one related to sanity. So if you're familiar with this game, you know that this game likes to mess with the sanity of players and like characters and players themselves, you know, like breaking fourth wall and stuff like that. So as the game progresses, characters will lose sanity when they get observed by enemies, and you're gonna start seeing and hearing things.
Here you're about to see one of the combat mechanics of the game. So Pandora is targeting the different parts of the body and taking them off to progress through this door. You can actually do this later in the game, specifically target arms, take those off, target heads, or even the torso. And that's used in a few places to get through faster.
Just activated that button. You gotta believe me. And now I'm gonna punch this portal to do something called portal cancel. We're gonna explain that later. Don't worry about it. We're gonna explain at the end of the game. For now, we have to explain what is this. So this is the 3 artifacts. You have to choose one to show us a path in this game to follow. We're choosing Oya. So for a while, we always knew, like, kind of from the beginning, you know, back to 2005, the first speedrun of this game, that Chaturga was slow. But then there was some discussion. We believed that Celota was faster for quite a while, and then eventually runners starting to crack Oyath, and the reasons for that will come on Karim, essentially. So Karim is chapter 4. When we get there, we're gonna explain you more about those differences.
Yeah, basically there's a lot of different enemies that spawn in the game depending on which path you choose. And if you play in a casual playthrough, you can play through each of the paths, and it gives you a really cool save file, and there's like a really cool final cutscene if you want to check it out. But basically, it affects enemy spawns. That's the most important part. This is Elia. She's exploring a weird tomb, basically, in Cambodia in 1100 AD. She doesn't really know. She's just a dancer. She's just exploring.
There, Pandora tried to do a cutscene merge, where if you did it just right, you could hit the zombie while the cutscene happened. Unfortunately, it looks like she missed it just a little bit. The timing window on that can be a challenge.
I actually got it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. We got the cutscene merge. So that doesn't say that much time. It's like 2 seconds, but you use a property of this game that sometimes it allows you to pause on places you're not supposed to, and that makes you recover movement during a cutscene. And so we did that, finish the zombie during one cutscene, trigger the cutscene of the zombie, and then both cutscenes happen at roughly the same time.
The trick's so
Here,
good, you don't even know if they
also-
got it.
Yeah, exactly. Here you can also do a version of that, but it doesn't quite save time in Japanese. It also gives you an invisible Elia, which is pretty cool, but I avoided for this time, because don't worry, we're gonna have invisible characters later.
What you might be noticing is that every now and then Pandora or Elia will move a bit more slowly. So this game, in addition to health, magic, and sanity, also has a 4th property called stamina. There's no bar for it, but you'll notice that if you run long enough, your character goes into this exhausted animation. Obviously, we want to be able to run for as much as we can, so we will move faster. But we also need to recover stamina to do that properly. And it turns out that when we're sneaking, that slow type of movement, you actually gain double the amount of stamina you do just by walking around normally. And the game never tells you that. The only reason people know about this is because they looked at the game's memory and saw that. So yeah, governing stamina is going to be really useful, really important throughout the run.
Mm-hmm. And Pandora's has routed her stamina usage very specifically, so basically she's memorized every single place that she needs to sneak.
And now we're gonna get to this big thing right there with eyes and mouths and all sorts of things. This is a very important character of the game. It's Mantarok. Can any of you tell me what is this thing?
Oh, we love Mantarok. He is the fourth ancient, basically. He's I think they call him the dead god. Basically, Pius Augustus at the beginning, when he chose that artifact, he got turned into a lich. And he's going to spend about 2,000 years trying to summon his ancient, whichever artifact you chose that corresponds to. And Mantarok was trying to interfere, basically, and he's going to be trying to pull strings behind the scenes to affect fate and influence these characters in a way that benefits him. But none of this is really apparent in the speedrun, obviously. Play the game, check it out, it's very fun. He's imprisoned currently due to the actions of Pius, so Mantarok's just stuck there.
Yeah, I always thought about Mantarok as of a more like either feminine or like completely neutral, like agender.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Ancient
Yeah, I
compared
can
to
see
the
that,
other
yeah.
ones. All right, we have time for one donation here.
Absolutely. We've got a lot of donations coming in about this. I'm going to try this one. We've got L Flav with $10. They say, just my luck, I have to work during AGDQ. Luckily, I got home just in time to see one of my all-time favorite games, Eternal Darkness, and my first donation of the week. Oh, and one more thing. May the rats eat your eyes, Cancer! The donations are coming! Thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you for reading it like that. Oh my god.
Yes. Happy to hear the first mention of the rats already.
Yeah, we're gonna see a bunch of that. Worry not. So next we're gonna hop into Anthony. So we're gonna just finish Elia right here. And the first thing you will see is how the knowledge transfers to Alex. So Alex is gonna see this puzzle right here. She's gonna remember, oh, Elia solved this candle puzzle. Now I can solve it myself.
Just a quick reminder to save before Anthony.
Thank you.
Yeah, chat, when Anthony's chapter is ending, you better spam Pandora. Remind her to save as Anthony is ending, okay? You have to spam. Otherwise, the run is ruined, okay?
This is one of the mechanics the game uses throughout its progress. So as you complete a chapter, you learn things in the chapter, you come back to the house afterwards, and you use what you've just learned in that chapter to go solve an additional puzzle and make further progress. It's really well done how it uses that flow of learning something and then moving into using it immediately.
And here it is, Anthony. So Anthony is a messenger. He needs to deliver a message to Charlemagne, the actual Charlemagne, because this game is kind of historically based, because everybody knows, you know, the war is governed by ancient gods, you know, like eldritch gods.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just completely non-fictional. So Anthony, he's been told, don't look at the message. This is very important. You are not supposed to see it. But Anthony sees it anyways, and he actually gets a curse. And so then his mission is to advert, to warn Charlemagne about this curse. And you're gonna see it right here after this tome dimension. So what about this place?
I don't know.
So this is the hallway that leads for most characters to pick up the Tome of Eternal Darkness. This hallway exists out of time and space. You don't really see it in this run, but all the chapters do not follow in chronological order. You'll see some chapters go further in the future, then we go back in time. But yet somehow the characters are learning things that happened after they were born, after they died. So yeah, the hallway is a pretty scary place.
I'm very loud too.
Yes. I've never
Just
been able to figure out
screaming
if you're just walking on the images of screaming faces or actually feel screaming faces when you walk down the hallway.
Oh, those poor
I
faces.
sure
Yeah, I
hope
think
it's the former.
probably the second one, yeah. All right, battle system. So here we got a zombie. To defeat enemies, you have to defeat all their body parts. And you can actually defeat some parts several times if you don't cut them. That's what we do right there with the fist. And then we switch to the sword to actually defeat that part again. And that completely destroys that enemy. Okay. so we're gonna burn some zombies, and if any of you can tell me, like, from that enemy, I actually got an item. That was a rune, so what is all about runes and magic on this game?
Yeah, this game has a pretty cool magic system. It kind of has a noun, a verb, and an alignment that you combine for every spell. Right now, Anthony just picked up the 3-point power or circle of power, so he can cast weak spells, and then later on we're going to pick up the 5 and 7-point circles of power, and we're going to get some bigger spells. Well, not the 5-point one, but in a casual playthrough you would. Basically, you have to collect the runes and combine them in a certain way, and you get different spells out of it. You usually would collect in a casual playthrough scrolls and one of those codices that you find on the ground. Codices? How do you?
Yeah, codices.
A codex. You pick up a codex. It tells you what the rune does. We're going to skip all of that. And you can actually freely mix these runes together to make spells before you even get the scrolls.
Now we're about to see the first skip that was discovered in the game, what we call the urn skip. Normally you have to reassemble 2 or 3 urns, fill them with water, and put them on a stone in this room. Here, Pandora is going to get by the zombie, which is actually the hardest part. She takes the hit, and by doing the mix, keeps the animation, which lets her cast a spell at this room before the cutscene kicks in. And because the enchant item and the cutscene both use the same flag to tell the player they can't move, the enchant finishes, clears the flag, and then she can run in after this fake bishop character into the door instead of having to go solve the puzzle.
She doesn't need to kill him right there, but
we
it's pretty
still
funny.
have to fight it. Yeah. We're very fortunate that the door actually has no collision. Like, the collision moves during the cutscene. And then this is the real bishop. So we're gonna fight it very fast here. 3 hits on one arm. We're not able to cut the arm because this is partially censored on Japanese. And now Nono. It's your turn for this.
Yeah, so this is actually a relatively new trick in the run that really saved a lot of time, and we're going to set up its first part right here. So when you pick up items in this game, you do it in 3 stages. One is the zoom that we discussed earlier. Second is an examine that brings up a text box, and the third is when you actually get the item. And what Pandora does here, she is going to do a trick that basically allows her to stay in that final state where she's about to get the item. And she's going to have to get this all the way to the end of Anthony's chapter. And if she does this successfully, then we'll be able to save this and use it later during the actual skip.
Oh, that was so fast.
Yeah, that was actually really good. I usually have more time to explain this.
I'm sorry, Nono.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you didn't have much time to explain that.
Oh.
Okay, so that right there is the first sanity effect we're gonna see. I'm actually gonna use that on purpose because seeing that sanity effect gives me a free minute without another one, which is what I want for the end of this chapter. Right here, I'm purposely going kind of slow. You see that long turn right there is because I need to avoid some B prompts, some messages that the game gives you. If I touch any bad B prompt, I'm gonna lose an estate I have that I need for later.
All right, now Pandora's about to do another small skip. Normally, Anthony runs into this big monster called the Horror in this room. She's actually storing the B prompt from that bookshelf, using it to do an attack while in that state. And the attack moves her forward just enough to get to the other side of the trigger for that monster to drop in, so we don't have to worry about it. And now she'll go in, unlock the room, and give Charlemagne the big warning. Oh,
and
no.
what do we have to do now?
Chat, spam chat. Spam as hard as you can. Reminder.
We have to save.
Gotta save.
Otherwise, there's no run. So don't move, don't do anything. Just save immediately on Alex. We're gonna use this save file later. We need it for later. Okay? Just put it on your brain, somewhere in your brain. Remember, it's there, waiting. Okay? We're gonna use it.
A looming darkness.
Eventually.
All right, cool.
All right, I think we have time for one donation, yeah.
Yeah, sure. We've got $10 from Leonie and 19. They say this one goes to the GDQ Tech Cruise choice. what with the Eternal Darkness's fourth wall breaking shenanigans, hopefully nothing in the game scares them too badly.
Aw.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, those fourth wall things really messed me up.
Oh, the bathtub scene? Oh my god.
Right here, we also see some of that mini Metroidvania concept that the game operates on. Alex actually has that key much earlier than at this point in the game, but if you just go up to that door in the second floor and try to use it, it just breaks. But with the enchant spell that we got from Anthony, we can actually fix the key and actually continue to explore more of the mansion.
And then there's my boy here, Kareem. Kareem is one of these very fun chapters. It's a favorite of a lot of people. It's one of my favorites too because it has so much fight. Kareem is made for war. He's very strong. He has the strongest melee weapon in the game, and he can run forever, which is very good for speedrun.
Yep, all the game's characters have different statistics, differing amounts of health, magic power, sanity, speed, and stamina. So some characters, like Kareem, are really good for melee fighting. You can just kind of fight your way through the chapter, taking monsters down left and right. Others, like Max or some characters that we might not even be playing in this run, are much tougher. They're slow, and you really want to avoid fights as much as possible.
Okay, so we're gonna see some enemies here. We already saw one of them on the previous chapter, but we didn't have that much time to talk about it. So these are the trappers. Trappers are friends. They just wanna hug you, but they hug you for like 40 seconds. So it's not very cool. We're just avoiding that for now. They send you to a different dimension basically, and you need to escape from it. So we don't want that for speedrun. Okay, another safety save here. We're gonna prepare for horror skip, so if any of you can help me with that.
Yes, so as we saw in Anthony's chapter, actually getting one of these runes from an enemy, these translucent enemies, actually takes quite a long time because of this long cutscene of them slumping down to the floor and giving you the rune. So what Pandora is going to do here, she's going to do a very precise amount of damage to this horror, and then she's gonna go to the door and get the last stitch there, and if done correctly, she'll be able to do this while going to the other room, and here we get the rune just off screen. The only risk there is that it could soft lock the game, so you know, there's that. That's why we need a safety save.
Yeah, possible crash or soft lock. No, it could be a soft lock too, depending on what effect you get. So, yeah, it is scary. It is consistent to don't get it if you have a very good early Kareem. That one right there looked like a good one, so I just went for it. And now that is the Ram Dao,
Oh boy.
the strongest melee weapon in the game.
Yep, upcoming is kind of a multi-wave fight that Pandora's going to have to go through. There's going to be a bunch of zombies, and normally what happens is to finish a zombie off, you need to do a finishing blow, and that'll get rid of the corpse, and that'll load the next wave in. But as it happens, you can actually just watch a cutscene to clear the corpses off the ground, and they'll just unload. Otherwise, you just have to wait for them to disappear or do the finishing mood. So the goal here is just to go through all the waves of zombies as quickly as possible and get out of the room.
The goal here is to see as many rats as you can.
Or as I like to say, may the cats need your thighs.
That too. Okay, now we're gonna switch to the Ram Dao actually. And we're gonna be able to also kill these guys on one shot. Now I'm doing a little recovery, and now I need to do a no magic message. So a no magic message is you spam magic, like spells, until you run out of magic, and then a message pops in. And if you can like hold that message into a cutscene, then you can use the message to pause, and you can pause to recover your movement. So right there, I actually moved while you weren't looking. You had to believe me. I was moving out of camera, killing those enemies a little bit earlier.
That blows my mind every time I see this, like doing all of this off camera. How do you do this, Pandora?
I don't know. That trick right there saves 0.5 seconds, by the way. But we do it. You gotta do it. You gotta go for those. So right here, there might be a trapper, so I need to sneak a little bit. Trappers don't actually see you, they only hear you. So there's gonna be some spots where I'm gonna sneak or do other walking techniques. But for now, we're gonna get ready for a very interesting and intricate fight.
Yes, and
So,
I did want to mention before
yes.
this comes up, the thing about spells is in this game you have to stand still to cast them. Otherwise, if you move or you get hit, they fizzle and you have to you just lose magic and you can't do it. So right here, Pandora's going to do something called a free cast, which will allow her to move. She's going to do a free enchant into the barrier cutscene upcoming. In this hallways, there's going to be a barrier, and that'll allow her to move behind the barrier as it spawns. So normally you're supposed to wait for these waves of enemies to cross the barrier, and then you fight them one by one. But what she's going to do is going to fight all these behind it as the barrier is up. And so the goal here is to clear the enemies in a very specific sequence. She's planned all this out. The waves will come in, and at the final wave, she'll have to fight a horror. So the goal is to fight the horror as fast as possible. She's going to use the cutscene thing again to clear the corpses as quickly as possible. You may also notice that she'll move away from the explosions with the blue zombies. They kind of do like an area of effect, so she'll run off screen for that. And you may also notice that the game is kind of laggy because of just how close to the camera the barrier is. So that's just a funny side effect.
Yeah, we
she's
got a little bit of lag. Not that much though, so that's good.
Yeah, Pandora's making this look easy, but this is not an easy fight. There's not a lot of space. It is really easy to get pinned by the zombies, pinned up against walls, take a lot of damage. It takes a lot of practice to be able to run this fight this cleanly in this little space.
She's also making use of animation cancels right here by unequipping the item and then re-equipping it. Basically, it just cancels out the attack animation so you can use the weapon faster.
She will use that again much later in the run to really dramatic effect.
Yeah,
That's a good backup.
this is why it's such an advanced technique, because to survive this, you really need to have your wits about you and know a lot of backups in case anything goes wrong, because this can really easily result in Kareem dying.
Yeah, and right there at the end, I used the no magic message again, so I spam magic right before the last cutscene starts, and then I can use that message to move during the cutscene. Then I cancel it with a trigger, and I can walk into the artifact very, very quickly. All right, here, there's time for another donation.
Absolutely. We've got $25 from Tumes that says, shout out to the marble tiles with the screaming faces inside. Thank you very much for those.
Yo, shout outs to those faces.
The skeleton fog.
Yeah, some of them actually
Only
look
two
very,
people
very
know
happy.
that joke. Just me and Nono. All right, so we're gonna get to Max. Max is the first, like, family-related character to Alex.
Yeah.
And
Do we know
you're
how far
gonna
back
see
he goes?
him.
If it's like a great-grandfather? Or,
Yeah,
a
yeah, it could be
great-grandfather?
probably like the grandfather of Edward, I would say.
yeah, probably.
I don't know how that translates into grand. No idea.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, this guy's name
It's a
is
long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. This guy's from about 1760 AD. You can tell this is the same mansion. That's another cool thing about this game is it revisits locations, but everything's different, so you can kind of figure out what happens over time. Basically, he's exploring his mansion. There's something weird going on. It kind of has. that's the story.
A bit.
You can tell that he
Yeah,
has
the servants are actually servants of the devil.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Yeah. He actually has a really cool voice actor that goes for a lot of the voice talent for this game. This voice actor is actually the same guy who played Jack Porkins in Star Wars, if you want to go look that up and don't know who that is.
Just think about the guy who tells Luke, stay on target.
That guy.
Yeah, we actually didn't have time to touch on this, but there are a lot of great voice actors in this game. A lot of overlap with Metal Gear Solid. For example, Alex's voice actor is Jennifer Hale.
Also, shout outs to Horror Skip right there.
Yep. That one's really interesting Pandora moves very carefully to get in a specific spot. She wants to shoot the horror in the left arm twice from behind. First, you do double damage if you hit from behind, but more importantly for that horror is for some reason, the horror's left arm is the weakest part of its body. Not both arms, not the arms in general, just specifically the left arm, which is significantly weaker than the right arm. 2 shots from the flintlock is all it takes to kill that horror.
No love for us lefties. Oh.
Oh.
And now we're going to see another use of free cast. Let's give a quick explanation of what that is. So, as was mentioned, normally when you cast a spell, you have to stand still and wait for the runes of the spell to appear before you can move, and moving causes it to fizzle. That's a lot of time spent just standing still, especially later with the big spells. It turns out that if you start casting a spell, open up the menu, go to manually cast an enchant item, go far enough up till it asks you which item to enchant, and then exit out, it loses track of the previous spell for tracking if you're moving. So you can just start walking away and the spell still casts. You could actually even stack those together to cast multiple spells at once. This is done a little bit later, but that's something you have to be very careful. If there are enough spell or spell-like effects happening in the game at once, it will crash, and it crashes hard.
Here, Pandora is setting up some shortcuts for spells. We mentioned earlier that you can kind of freely mix the runes to discover them ahead of time without needing the scroll items. So menuing is one of the really important parts about this game. A lot of setups for shortcuts and lots of things that you do in the menu. So I saw a little bit of that there, and we'll see lots more when Pandora gets access to bigger spells.
Here's another quick death skip that Pandora is doing. She's going to go down the well, immediately target and shoot a zombie, and come back up. And as a result, she'll kill the zombie, get the rune, and you never see the animation and barely know what even happened.
That one's
Trust
super
me,
funny.
she picked up a rune there.
Yeah, she got a rune. He just fires a
This
gun
one
in a
right
room.
here.
It's like, what is this guy doing?
So at this point in the chapter, Max goes below the house and finds out that there's this evil city right underneath his house, filled with the creatures that we're going to see here, the Guardians. And this serves as sort of the first actual boss fight of the game. And also one of the first points where there's a lot of effective RNG on how fast this goes.
Yeah, you know, just going to your basement and finding this everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason Pandora's using the flintlock pistols in this chapter. A lot of people will use melee because those pistols are only one shot, but they do a lot of damage. And if you're able to just target them properly, you can take down this Guardian much, much faster than if you try to use any melee weapons.
Nice
actually-
RNG.
Yeah, that was a good fight. That teleport is why this fight is RNG dependent. How long and where the Guardian teleports to is very random, but that was really good.
That was probably close to a gold max.
Wow. Did you restore Sanity at the end? That's so nice of you.
Yeah, so that's to avoid a sanity effect here. We have ways to avoid it. Is the sequel sanity effect that you get with Karim. After every Karim, it can get activated. If you actually have more than 50% sanity at the end of a chapter, you just don't get it at all.
Yeah, for those of you who have played the game, she's talking about the little pop-up you get that tells you that the game is concluded in its sequel and leaves it there just long enough for you to get confused before that goes away as a sanity effect. If you have enough sanity, or if you cast a spell and cancel it really quick or upon coming back, you don't see that pop-up.
All right, we're getting to arguably the hardest chapter, speedrun wise, and for some people also like casual wise, because of all the traps, the Indiana Jones traps.
Yeah, there's so many traps in this chapter. This guy's name is Lindsay. He's basically exploring the same place that Elliot was at back in the 80s. He's just, you know, Indiana Jones, basically. We're starting this chapter off with an attempt at a skip. Basically, Pandora's going to set up a barrier after she gets hit by this gatekeeper. It summons a zombie. The zombie's going to latch onto her. She's going to shake the zombie off. It's going to bounce into the barrier and push her into the wall. in a very specific location. It's a very tricky skip because there's a bunch of layers to this wall, and if this fails, kind of sucks, but we'll get another attempt in a couple minutes after that. So if you want to see a zombie skip, basically you're going to see one coming up anyway.
Yeah, this...
Alright, so this is the Reaper. It's gonna summon a zombie for me. Then we're gonna kill it, because it did its job. That zombie looks at a decent position. I've seen better. So we're gonna move it. Ooh, that movement. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but we're gonna put it right there. Do a barrier right here. Free cast it so I can move, go to this corner, put myself in a very specific position, and hopefully clip into this wall. Let's see. Oh, I actually clip through one of the layers.
That's a shame.
But I need like 3 layers.
That movement was so weird.
But that was like super close actually. I think it was a very good angle actually. Ooh, that's one trap.
Ooh, okay.
That's one trapper.
that was scary.
Yeah, that first zombie clip is really tough. The positioning and the timing is very difficult. It's not a very consistent trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely on the high tier of like difficulty of glitches of this game. One of the hardest tricks in the game. We have a backup though. Like basically something we're gonna do here. We're gonna move in the cutscene where I normally put the necklace. So for that, we're gonna set up a reveal here. We're gonna mix it with an enchant. Then I'm gonna move here. I'm gonna press B. Then match start, use this thing and do a no magic message during this cutscene, then recover my camera going through a trigger, and we can move during that cutscene. You're not allowed to usually move during that cutscene. And if you take too much, you're actually gonna see the next part of the cutscene in a different room.
Yeah, Pandora's just gotten tired of waiting through cutscenes, so she just starts moving once they start.
Okay, and now we're coming for Silver Skip. So I'm gonna let you people explain that.
Oh yeah, well, here's another zombie clip. Here we go.
Take 2.
See if it works.
This one's a lot easier, a lot more consistent. Let's see if it happens. Through.
There you go.
And through.
There is a really specific platform that you're supposed to aim for because there's not a lot of collision back there. Otherwise, you just fall into eternal darkness, if you will.
Yeah.
We rehearsed
There's
that one.
no way to get back up.
Alright, so we're setting up here for a very cool little skip coming up. One thing you need to know to understand this is whenever there's a cutscene in this game where it seems like the character isn't there, the character is always loaded. It's just off screen or is made invisible. But it's there, and if you manage to get yourself into a position where you can move in the cutscene, you can actually interact with the room as if it's part of the usual gameplay. So what we're gonna see here, Pandora is gonna stack a few spells to get a text prompt, and this is going to allow her to move in the scene coming up, right here. And if done correctly, you can actually get to the other side of that floor through the cutscene. The side effect of that is that because the character was invisible during the cutscene, it's also invisible during this. So we're just a floating sword for a while.
Yeah, this time we're gonna be a floating gun. Because
we're a floating gun this time. Nice.
Yeah, that's something, a little variation, just a little variety. Basically, when you don't get bronze skip, the gun is a little bit closer. So we're gonna be a flying handgun right here.
You'd think we were playing Control instead.
And then we're gonna go here, and sadly, this cutscene right here makes Lindsay visible again.
Aw.
We'll always have the memories
No.
of the floating gun.
Alright, so now we're gonna clean the last puzzle, which is the gold one. And after that, we're gonna get a sanity effect of Edward talking to Alex. And that sanity effect, I like it because it's gonna give me a free minute of no sanity effects. But then, after that's concluded, I actually need to start manipulating them.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
actually is a
so-
lot of sanity effect manipulation during this run. Sanity effects typically have a cooldown after each one. So if you get a sanity effect and it's a good one and it doesn't take very much time, that's pretty good. Then you won't have to worry about sanity effects for a while, because some of them waste a lot of time. You might go into a room and it's a hallucination. There might be a bunch of ammo on the ground that's fake and you have to reload. A lot of wasteful stuff, basically. So one manipulation that we do is that there's something called bleeding walls that only happens when you're at between 50 and 75% sanity. Nothing happens, it's just that the walls are bleeding, basically. And it lasts for 2 minutes, and then there's 1 minute of cooldown afterwards. So negates sanity effects for 3 minutes. There's also explosion. This is guaranteed if you try to do a recovery under 50% sanity, which gives you about 10 seconds of no other sanity effects. So does anybody want to explain that one?
Yes, so explosion is a sanity effect that can happen only once per playthrough, and it starts, the flag for it gets set somewhere around this chapter, and it happens when you try to do a recovery. So we actually use this to our benefit, because it means that if we do a recovery and cancel it, we don't get the explosion, but we do get the cooldown. So every now and then you'll see the magic stat go down, and that just means that Pandora, while moving, is doing a recovery to get the explosion to get the cooldown. And that's going to be used for a very long time until we have to use that explosion for something coming up.
Nice. So that's a spell in cutscene. So there's some cutscenes where you can actually cast a spell right as you just enter the cutscene, because like with the momentum of the character. That one is in about 8-frame window. You just go for it. If you get it, the spell finishes inside of the cutscene. If you don't get it, well, you do it somewhere else. So I always try to go for those. And right here, you can see this floating thing on top of my head. What is that thing about? What's going on there?
That is the magic pool spell. You have the ability to cast this magic pool, which, depending on the alignment you choose, will regenerate whichever statistic you select. Red gives you health, blue gives you magic, and so on. This is an extremely powerful spell. It actually only tells you about it much later in the run, but you have the runes to create it in Lindsay's chapter. Keeping pools up is a good way to keep your health up, keep your magic up, and through very frequent use of those, you can make the game much easier if you so desire. Now,
okay, right here. Yeah, go ahead.
Now we're about to see Pandora doing the first part, the big part of what we call Edward's skip. Edward's chapter is later on. It's a really long chapter, and we don't want to do it. So what we're doing is doing a free cast of a dispel. Well, we're doing our. Oh, what happened to all your saved games? What did you do?
Oh no!
Oh, that's still my favorite sanity effect. But she's doing a free cast dispel, comes around, sees the ghost of Max start to walk in this room. The dispel takes over, makes that barrier go away, and lets Alex move. And since ghosts look translucent, but they're still solid, they have to make the collision has to go away for that door for Max's ghost to walk in. And so as you're moving as Alex, you just walk on in, trigger the cutscene, and now you've done what you get after completing Edward's chapter.
Oh. What was that?
It's just Max chilling,
Wait,
doing his stuff.
Are your saves okay? Did they get deleted? You need that for Anthony. The one after Anthony, right?
Yeah, like I did one right after, I think.
Oh, I hope.
Actually, we're gonna do one on Paul. I don't know what I'm gonna do about the one on Anthony though, because I lost all of
I hope
them.
they're okay. Yeah. Wow. Do you have like a memory card or something?
Yeah, I actually have a backup memory card down here.
Oh, nice.
So if I'm probably gonna plug that on one of Paul's cutscenes.
Okay, solid.
Because we're gonna have a lot of backtrack during this
Yeah.
chapter. So
Yeah, true.
there's some places, on this game you actually run with L and the stick. So there's some spots where you just run. You can actually play with one hand. So Probably on one of those places.
Oh,
I'm just gonna go
You can
down
lean
and
down.
put
Yeah.
one of my.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this guy is Paul. He's a Franciscan monk. He's chilling. He is basically trying to find something called the Hand of Jude. It's like a magical artifact that he heard about. He went on this pilgrimage to this place, and he's trying to find it, but he finds that something is amiss. Seems to be a running theme. And this guy that we're about to see, he's a custodian for the area, and he starts telling him some stuff, and they basically have to find some evidence that things are not what they seem.
Yeah, and things are definitely not gonna be normal in this room right here. So this is the first part of a moving in cutscene I'm setting up. Summoning a trapper while I do this cutscene. Then we're gonna pause, use a meditation rod to recover movement during the second part of the cutscene. And then need to pay attention to this movement right here. I think that's just perfect, so we'll see. If it's just perfect, then I can go just like, may the rats eat your eyes. I am now lost to your cause. The darkness comes. It will damn us all. All right,
Solid.
it worked.
Excellent
Solid
timing.
Nicely done.
That is a strat, by the way. I didn't do that for the memes. No, that is an actual strat. I used that speech to align my movement because I'm moving out of camera and it's very tricky movement. So that phrase just happens to be perfect to time out your movement where you have to change directions.
Any excuse to hear "May the rats eat your eyes" is a good one.
Yeah, and talking about that, we have time for one donation right here.
Sure, I have one. I have a $25 donation from Pius Augustus. It says, a donation of minus $800,000 from Pius Augustus with a comment that reads, Mantarok, Pargon, Narokath, Margomor, Pargon. Which brings us to a grand total of, no, this can't be happening! Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Pius
'cause-
Augustus.
Because that spell actually doesn't exist, so that's not happening. That definitely was a sanity
That's
effect.
definitely not happening.
Yeah, you don't absorb items on this game, let me tell you. Yeah, it's just me, you know, as a speedrunner, you have to memorize every single rune. You have no choice. So.
You do? I just look at the world record video and do the same thing.
Oh, okay. But no, that's not how you do it.
Oh, no.
All right, so we're gonna open this thing, this piece of evidence. We need to collect 3 of these and pass it to the custodian to incriminate a guy that is very similar to Pius and has a very similar name too.
Suspicious.
Suspicious.
Nah, there's no way that Pius Augustus and Paul Augustine are the same person.
No, yeah, he
Yeah,
was from
that
like
doesn't
30
make
BC.
sense to
That's
me.
crazy. That's such a long time.
Yeah.
All right, so here Pandora's going to use the crossbow reload animation at the door to cancel spell, carry over the animation state, and basically the cutscene doesn't trigger. And this here is Anthony, who we saw before. He is supposed to fight us, but he never really gets up.
Yeah, instead
Anthony-
he's just having a bad time.
Anthony has had a really bad life.
And death.
Yep. An interesting note here is that Anthony currently has that 2-hand sword that he got in his chapter. If you don't get that sword from the monk in his chapter, at this point Anthony doesn't have the sword. Paul can't get it. And Anthony has to fight back against Paul. Well, zombie Anthony has to fight back with his fists.
Okay, so that little walk that you saw me doing right there is because there is a soft lock, a possible soft lock at the exit of that room. Basically, we skip a trigger for a cutscene at the beginning of the Anthony fight, but that means the trigger is still there, waiting to be activated. The trigger is very close to the door, but actually the door prompt is a little bit bigger than the trigger for the cutscene, so if you manage to just be just inside that without triggering the cutscene, you can leave. But if you happen to open the door and trigger the cutscene at the same time, it's a soft lock, so can be scary.
Another thing we're skipping here is the sheet music. There's like a little puzzle you do where you play the organ. You basically use that to unlock the 5-point circle, which gives you 5-point spells. So we're skipping that entire section, and we're not going to have 5-point spells, which is kind of bad because there's going to be a 5-point barrier coming up usually you'd use a 5-point spell to get rid of it. So to get around that, they strat is going to be to basically there's going to be a skip coming up, and we'll explain it as it comes up. Here, Pandora is going to try to kill this horror at the same frame that she finishes the puzzle. It's frame perfect.
Yeah, this time I didn't even go for it because I got very bad animation cancel right there. So yeah, sometimes it's better to just don't go for it. But it's a very tight trick. It saves like 6 seconds, but again, frame perfect, and also very tight in terms of position and angle. You try to kill that with a crossbow instead of the sword. It's very tricky, so we just avoid it this time. Right now we're looking for bleeding walls, because I want to get bleeding walls. I want my walls to paint themselves, okay? So if you see any bleeding walls, chat, you just gotta tell me,
Wouldn't
okay?
that be great if you had just paint themselves walls?
Self-painting walls.
I got them.
You do?
Nice.
Great.
That means you have your sanity between 50 and 75%.
That's true.
Should be a little bit
That
worried
feels
about
like
that.
way too much ever since I started speedrunning.
There's the bleeding walls.
Oh, nice.
I saw it. Nice. So that gives you about 3 minutes without sanity effects. There it is. There's another one.
Yep.
So there's basically 3 minutes with a sanity effect with the bleeding walls, and that prevents other sanity effects from happening. So we don't have to worry about any of that. You know, back then, when this game was almost glitchless, we actually didn't have any of these strategies to avoid sanity effects. And there was a lot, and I say a lot, of RNG on the run because of that. All right, we have time for another donation here.
Yeah, you got it. We've got $125 from Tetragonos. They say, Yang phase, please. Super excited to see this run, and I want to see us close the gap and choose the longer run. First off, thank you so much for the donation. That is in reference to our next run, Kuon. There is a battle which is going to end right at the end of this run for the Yin phase versus Yang phase. There's about a $400 difference, and I have word from the runner that the Yang phase is the one to have, but that's the one that's behind. So chat, help out the runner. Let's get the better one. Let's get the donations in for that.
Okay, so now we're setting for this pool right here. So just like we said before, with a pool we can run forever, which is very handy. I don't need to care about stamina. For now, we have some time to actually talk about differences. So Japanese, why do we run on Japanese? Contrary to what you would think on many other games, we don't run on Japanese because of the text. Text is almost tied, pretty much, on this game, on Japanese and US versions. Instead, we run because Japanese came out later, and it has faster loading times. Developers had some extra time to optimize a lot of the stuff on memory. And thanks to that, it's just your loading times are much, much faster. It's great. And the other thing we should talk about is the difference. Why is this 80% cutscene storage? Can any of you tell me about that?
Yeah, so basically, there's a trick in this game called cutscene storage, where by watching a cutscene and doing a frame perfect input, you can actually get yourself to the end of the chapter. And recently, it's been discovered that you can even use that trick to get a credits warp. And actually, the 80% unrestricted 80% run of this game is now less than 10 minutes long. It's just a bunch of watching cutscenes and doing frame perfect inputs. So obviously, to have a more interesting run, we need to rule that trick out, but that does exist, and it's a separate category in this game.
All right, now you guys can talk about the skip you were mentioning before.
Yep.
With the 5-circle thingy.
Yep. So as I mentioned, the 5-point circle is skipped. So there's no way to really dispel this barrier that's coming up. But there's a funny interaction where if you are summoning a trapper, you don't have collision. So you can set up a no magic message to bypass the damage field. There's actually 2 of these kind of skips that you have to do in this room, one to get in, one to get out. The first one's pretty hard actually because Paul enters a battle stance when he enters the room, which kind of messes up the timing. The one out on the way out is a little bit easier, and I think it looks pretty cool too.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
First try.
That's
That
the
is
very hard
not
one.
easy to do.
You run for so little right there, and you can actually get stuck inside of the barrier, and then there's almost no way to get out.
You are a clever man.
Now we're gonna go for second part. We kill one bone thief, and then we set up for the next trapper. Send a no magic message to be able to move during this trapper. I'm gonna run here, and during this camera, I'm gonna hold a very specific direction. I'm actually moving out of camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we should be close to the door. There you go.
Nice.
So that second part is actually, even though it looks like, you know, crazier, like it looks flashier, let's say, it's actually way easier than the first part because you just run forever. Like Kaz said, we don't change our state or battle state.
All right, now
And
Paul
now
is
incoming. Yeah.
now
Tell me
Paul's heading
what's
on
gonna happen.
in to try and confront
Go
that
ahead, go
guy.
ahead.
It turns out there's a big monster, a black guardian in there to guard the artifact, and he's a lot stronger than Paul. So all you see is one big stomp, and Paul goes squish.
Rip Paul.
Okay, so
Now
normally,
we go to Nono.
yeah, normally
Go
the
ahead.
next chapter would be Roberto, and that's a chapter we want to skip. So we set up the first part of this during Anthony, and now comes the second part. Basically, what we're going to do here is we are going to pick up this chapter page for Roberto from the piano, and that causes the game to set a restore point for a cutscene. What we're going to do is we're going to use our save game from Anthony to move that restore point to the tome room, and we're also going to use the get item state that we saved from Anthony to get an item from that room. And by properly manipulating the memory heap of the game, we make it so that the item that we get is the chapter page for the next chapter for Peter. And that way we completely skip over having to do Roberto.
Also first try.
Yeah, that was so fast.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Very, very good.
You saw that Alexandra exploded right there. So going forward, we won't have the option to store the explosion flag. So we'll have to manipulate sanity effects a little bit differently.
Ooh, trapper. What are you doing right there? I didn't kill you. Okay, we're gonna
that's-
like relax a little bit. That might actually be. Okay, I'm gonna say preventively. I can. I actually need to kill it. Never mind. There you go.
I like your friend just hanging around in the background there.
Checking out.
Yeah, literally. Okay, I'm gonna wait for change of state right there. I need to be on normal idle state, then do an ESS turn, 2 attacks on the good Ocarina of Time fashion. It's actually a very precise setup. Now we're gonna come back to this save file. So this save file is the one that you remind me. Thank you so much. So we save right after Anthony with a get item state, you know? So we're gonna watch a cutscene here to set up the restore point. This will make me warp to this room after I use the piano restore that Nono was talking about. And also I got a get item state that I can transfer to this new save file. So what we're attempting to do is using my BPROM storage here on a very specific frame. That's frame perfect right there. And that's gonna open the text on the next room where I teleported. And the item ID I get right there is the Peter page, which is right here. Peter page is usually you get it after Roberto, but this time we just GIM into getting it early. Yes, GIM, just like on, the Zelda games.
It's really hard to explain just how galaxy brain that whole skip is. It's really on another level. We skipped the other chapter later. We talked about this before. We did that just by doing a free cast, and skipping Roberto is so much more technical than that.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate we skip Roberto because there's some really fun tricks in there, such as the Roberto zombie hover that lets him walk over air and everything. But maybe if we could see that in the future, if we were able to, say, get 100% run into GDQ in the future. Ah, yes.
Okay, Peter. What about Peter?
You know,
Who's this guy?
Peter,
Hunt.
he's a reporter. He's in World War I. He's checking out the Oubliette Cathedral. This is the same place that you saw with Paul and Anthony, so we're retreading old ground, and I have no idea what his story is anymore, actually. It's been so long. We skip all the story. What's up with that?
It's an Amiens.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Amiens,
Okay,
yeah.
so
he's a World War I field reporter trying to do some photography of the war and finds himself in an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, an unfortunate situation for me. A bone thief look at me, an extra bone thief. So that means we might see some sanity effects on this chapter. We'll see about that.
I
First,
just
we're
want
gonna do a. Oh, okay, that is not bad. Actually, that should be alright. Let me see. Hang on, cause I think I can still do it. Does that work? Let me just see where my magic is. Because that cancel scared me a little bit. Okay, so I think this is still alright. Go ahead, Nono.
I was just gonna say how much of a misnomer it is to call them bone thieves, because they actually try to enter into your body and replace your bones. So they're not bone thieves. They're really thieving everything other than your bones.
Yeah, it's the
There's
opposite.
hugging your walls. Bone huggers.
So you may have noticed towards the beginning of the chapter, Pandora summoned a trapper, and she summoned another trapper right there to get rid of that body so she could get the 7-point circle, and you can see her setting up some spells for shortcuts later. Basically, one thing about this game is when you summon a monster, it removes the other monster from memory. So just keep that in mind. A lot of this chapter basically is setting up for that boss, that one-shot Paul. So it's a big boss, it's a big deal. Normally it takes several minutes of casual playthrough to fight it and kill it. So you probably might have noticed that she saved a little bit earlier right before that trapper too. So keep that in mind, that there were 2 trappers that were summoned and there was a save in between. That has to do with later. A lot of this, like I said, is preparation, and part of that preparation is we're going to collect a bunch of items that you wouldn't normally need to in casual playthrough. This happens to affect memory in a certain way with the IDs set up in memory, so.
Yeah, and right here, what I've been doing is something similar to what we did on Elia. I'm merging 2 cutscenes right there. One cutscene is the piano cutscene that opens this cabinet right here for an item we need, and the other one is the dispel cutscene. I mean the reveal cutscene that reveals a secret door. If you can do one cutscene in the middle of the other, and the one that finished first allows you to move, and that's why we got that wacky camera after that. So the rifle right here, we don't usually get it for speedrun, you know? Like, we don't really need a rifle, or I guess we need it for this one, you know? We're setting up for something. There's a secret going on here. I guess we need it. I got some bullets right there too, so I guess I don't have enough. Right here, I'm gonna attack this zombie. Oh wait, before, I'm gonna get a little bit bigger.
Oh, this is gonna make the boss so easy. You're gonna look so buff.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. That's unlucky.
Okay, that zombie, I hate that zombie in particular. It's not even in the way, but I just hate it. And then
the
we're gonna
trappers.
wall. Yeah, we're gonna wall through that wall right there. Just like good old cheating Counter-Strike.
Wall hack.
Yep.
Then on this room, we're gonna see another trapper.
Again, we've got
Yes,
another
right
trapper.
there. And then we're
And-
gonna see a rat.
That rat is such a troll. It's really
And
easy
right
to think
now-
you've got a second trapper, but nope.
Those
Yeah.
ones are fine.
Okay, so we have time for one donation before we get to the boss.
All right, sounds good. We've got $33.30 from the Camelon. They say, had to donate during one of my favorite games. Pandora's skills are blowing my mind, and commentary has been so insightful. This is my first time staying up past midnight to catch a GDQ run, but hopefully I'll get to bed by 3:33. Thank you very much for that donation.
Nice. All right, so right now we're gonna do another save. I'm gonna grab my last item right there. I killed those zombies. Those zombies are also objects, just like the items I'm collecting. So right now what I'm doing is I'm modifying my heap, the heap on the memory, by unloading certain objects. We're gonna come back here and use a stale reference. Yes, you hear that right. This is stale reference manipulation in a slightly different fashion than the Zelda games, but it's similar, okay? So we're right here. We're recovering that stale reference from the ID of the last trapper I summoned. And we're gonna use that for something very interesting on this fight, okay? So just wait for it. We're gonna get to this boss. Remember, this boss killed Paul or friend or beloved friend on one shot.
Yep.
Just insta-kill, okay?
All right,
Let's see what we can do about it.
This is quite the tough
ready.
battle. A lot of people can take a couple hours to finish this casually. It's not an easy fight.
Probably the hardest boss in the game, actually. Harder than the last one. We don't have any of that, though.
Or,
Bam.
Oh, okay, it's over.
or oops. Turns out casting that trapper caused the Black Guardian to die.
Yeah,
That's
it
all
was
it
just
takes.
a big trapper. That's what the Guardian is. It has 3 legs.
Oh,
It's just a big trapper.
True.
That still blows my mind every time I see it.
Nice.
Yeah. Even before we had that, there was another skip. You could use the zombie clip to go back through the glass wall and pick up the artifact, and that's all it takes. But who needs to worry about even that when you can just cast away the Black Guardian?
All right, so normally we'd be doing Edward's chapter here, but we skipped it. And normally we'd be using explosion to manipulate sanity effects, but we already exploded. So Pandora's going to be doing some different manips. Normally you could do no magic message, but it so happens that we need magic for some stuff. So you can instead use a no creature message for the text box.
Yeah, and this is right here. So that's 1. You gotta match B right after the spell to avoid sanity effects on the next room. And there you go, no sanity effects. So pretty good.
Now, normally
I'm
what
getting-
you do here after finishing Peter... Oh, go ahead. You're picking up these items.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I just grabbed the strongest weapon in the game.
Yep.
But that's for later. Just some
normally
spoilers.
after this point, you'd go in, you'd put the penny in the fuse box, go upstairs, and pick up the page for Edward. Well, the only thing Edward's chapter gives you is the pickaxe, which opens up the secret room and lets you into the safe. Well, we already took care of that, so we don't need to do Edward's chapter.
Yep, Pandora's also
I do
collecting
need to use the
some-
penny, though.
Oh yes, the penny, and we're collecting some extra items here actually. You wouldn't normally need all these items, but it so happens that because we're not going to use Roberto's chapter, it's just going to be an item sitting in Pandora's inventory. So later on, the game tries to clear a bunch of items from your inventory, and if that's on the first section before you scroll down, it'll crash the game. So she has to duplicate some ammo here. Normally they would stack into one pile, but due to that trick she just did, they'll be in separate piles, which will push the Roberto page further down in the inventory, which prevents the crash later on.
It's the same reason she still went ahead and used the lucky penny in the fuse box, because that's also another item that will cause a crash if it's in your inventory.
Exactly.
I just want bullets for my trapper, that's all.
All right, now we're on to Michael's chapter. Michael is a firefighter, and he's been working during the Gulf War to put out all the flaming oil wells. Just so happens one of these oil wells was in a bad location, and now Michael has found himself down below.
All right, so
That's a really
tricky zombie right there. All right, we have time for one donation right here.
All right, we've got $200 from Saturn New Hakai. They say, I woke up specifically for this run. Hope everyone is in good health, but just in case, Narokath, Sandak, Chaturga. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. And was that a
that's
real
a better
spell?
one.
I feel better already.
Yeah.
See, it works. We're doing it.
All my stamina is back. Great.
Wow.
Okay, life puzzle.
Chat's so helpful, reminding you to chat, restoring your health like that. It's awesome.
Okay. So we're gonna see a little bit of multicast I'm just gonna mention that out there, so it's in the back of your brain, just bugging you, because we're actually gonna explain it later, okay? We don't quite have a lot of time to explain it right now, but basically I'm doing one spell into another one and linking them together. Details are gonna be later on Alex. So something important about Michael, and I got very lucky, is we cannot control sanity effects right here. Just like Kaz mentioned, we lost our explosion, which means I cannot manipulate them anymore. I actually need to go for the luck on this chapter. That also means that I need to avoid a very good strat that allows me to almost completely skip a puzzle of the game, where I need to confuse two enemies. Because we used to use explosion right there to just skip that. Instead, we're gonna have to bet on the horrors, on two enemies that need to kill each other. So it can be a very long fight. We're gonna see about that.
Yeah, an interesting trick here. Pandora is going to get a sanity effect here, and she's actually going to use this to her benefit, because if you cast a spell during a sanity effect, the effects still happen, but you get your magic back. And with Michael not having a lot of magic, that's actually really important.
Very good trappers right there. And now we're gonna confuse these two enemies. So this is a bind spell, okay? So it's a confused state. They're gonna fight each other. The first one that takes it, and the puzzle is the barrier disappears, okay? So this fight can basically take between 4 seconds, which is the insta-kill. We call that the sacred insta-kill, and 1 minute and 10, which is a lot of variation. So right here, we are on like 20 seconds, I think, so far. So this is already over average. Average is on 23. That was a double arm attack. Those are the strongest ones. So I think it was like 30 seconds. Still pretty all right.
Sometimes the trappers will the horrors will do their attacks. Sometimes they like to just yell and make loud noises.
Yeah, and that's actually very bad, because they don't attack while they're yelling. Okay, health is a little bit low, so I'm a little bit scared, but the good thing is we actually can use recoveries. If I'm in trouble, I'm gonna use one, so...
Here, Michael's entering the end part of the chapter. He's basically being told via the... oh, you need items, don't you?
What happened to your menu?
Oh, no.
Oh. He needs to plant some C4, basically. He needs to magically enchant it and blow this whole area to smithereens. So that's kind of the plot going on. These voices are telling him to do that. And then there's going to be a nice little escape sequence, a la... is it Ari... Which Ari is it?
Almost all of them.
All of them? Oh, okay. Well, all of the Aris and also Metroid, so this might look a little familiar if you've played those games.
I've honestly never played a Resident Evil game.
You can't say that. You're not allowed to say that.
Not me. I've definitely played all of them. Every single,
Nice.
I think 8
Okay,
of them.
that makes it even.
Okay, cool. It cancels out.
Nice.
All right.
All right,
and
we're
now,
gonna do a magic pool. Tell me about it, GibGirl.
Yep, and as I mentioned before, she's doing a magic pool. She chose the green one to keep her stamina up and restored. It's actually really important in this chapter. You're running by, you just run by a lot of monsters, no combat. It's not hard to find your way out. The level changes enough that it pretty much guides you all the way out. But if you run out of sanity, every time you get a sanity hit from a creature, instead you lose some of your health. And there's a lot of creatures on the way out. So if you don't keep your sanity up, next thing you know, you find yourself taking a lot of damage. And if once you take enough damage, you actually even slow down. Your character is injured enough, they have trouble moving. And with the fact that there's a couple of horrors coming up in this last area, if you're moving slowly here, those horrors will take you out. It's a small thing, but it can kill a run if you don't have that.
So keep your sanity up, Chad. Remember, very important. Okay, we're getting to the last one. So this is gonna be chapter 12. Alex herself, the girl, the legend. and she's gonna fight against Pius. But before that, we actually need to complete some stuff on the mansion. Okay, so tell me about that, because I want to concentrate right here.
Yeah, no problem. Well, so to start off with, she's going to do some more no magic messages to avoid some sanity effects. Like I said, no more explosion. We're going to pick up a package, which will give us the gladius. Is there 2 gladiuses? No, wait, what does that give you? It's the artifact. Never mind, she already has the gladius.
Yeah, there is an enchanted gladius on the package. If you do like a very long quest on the game, you won't see it on this one. But again, if you want to see an enchanted gladius, we just gotta get 100%.
Just gotta get 100%
on the
in.
next one.
Yep, we just gotta get that. So coming up, there's gonna be a light puzzle, basically. She's gonna try to finish this as the same time that she's summoning a trapper. The similar thing to with Lindsay's chapter, when he showed up and he was like an invisible guy with a floating gun. It's a similar thing. There's gonna be a cutscene that shows off the basement to the next place you wanna go. And Alex isn't invisible in this cutscene like with Lindsay, but she is off screen. So as the cutscene progresses, as she does multiple things at the same time that overlap, she's just going to warp straight to the basement, and that's called the basement warp, and she's just going to progress from there.
So here we go, we summon a trapper, then we finish the puzzle. Trapper allows us to move during the second part of the cutscene, which shows you how this plate, this like steel plate, it's moving. You're not supposed to move during that cutscene, but thanks to the trapper we can do it. And even though the plate doesn't actually move, the flag gets set up, so you can go down. It's just an illusion.
Here we are. We're entering Enga, is it the Forgotten City? Forbidden City?
Forsaken
it's
City,
the bad
maybe?
city.
It's the bad city.
Necro City?
Yeah. It's just chilling under the mansion like we saw earlier. There was some damage done to it by some guy named Edward, who apparently is Alex's grandfather, but we didn't really see that. So it's a little bit busted right now. Alex has to go around and try to repair it because she's going to try to cast a massive spell. Pius has been taking 2,000 years to summon his ancient into this plane of reality. It's going to destroy everything, enslave humanity, and so forth. So Alex is going to basically use a 9-point spell using these gigantic pillars in the city. Each point is 1 pillar, and she's going to summon an ancient of her own that will cancel the other ancient out, and they'll have an ancient battle.
Yeah, there's actually a very interesting like rock paper scissors paper. How do you say it?
Rock, paper, scissors. Yeah.
There you go. And it's kind of like it works just like Pokemon. It's the exact same colors, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, reminder to save after this.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, when Edward cast his big dispel, it damaged the city and took all its power out. So Pandora, as Alex, is repairing that tablet, putting the artifacts on, and recharging the city. Now the city is nothing more than one big 9-point spell casting machine.
Yeah, it took 2,000 years for Pius. It's gonna take us less than 2 hours to do it.
Pius has got to pick up the slack. He's slow.
Exactly.
Clearly not a smooth
Now we
on
can
him.
finally talk about multicast.
Multicast.
Yep. Yeah, multicast is just you do a free cast, as mentioned before, and once the free cast happens, you can go ahead and cast the second one, and you can chain multiple spells this way. Doing your cast, then a enchant item and cancel to let you move, then cast another spell, do another enchant item and move, and cancel to move. The only problem is if you do too many of those, you crash the game. So you have to be very careful of when and how you do those.
Yeah, not like that ever has happened to me, though.
Yeah, it's
No,
not like that happened
definitely
in a
not.
practice run.
No.
Not recently, especially.
Exactly. Not like 2 days ago. Okay.
Forget about it.
So now we're gonna set up for warm warp. Exactly, not ground warp, but warm warp.
Worm warp.
Cass.
Yes. It does involve a worm or two. Worm warp involves a puzzle in this next room. Normally you're supposed to sneak on this purple section of the floor. Otherwise there's kind of like a hallucination state. There's you have to go into this sepia version of the room, and then you have to regain your sanity, and then it resets the room. If that happens, then you reset your position back to the origin point of the room, and it just so happens that a bunch of these rooms in this place have their own origin points. So keep your eye on the sanity meter. It's going to restore in a room or two from now, and Pandora is going to use that to her advantage to reset this sepia state. Basically, with that summoning the two trappers there, it messes with the worms and it glitches out, and so she just carries forward this weird sepia hallucination, and she'll use that to get her sanity up to that threshold that I mentioned, and she'll reset to an origin point of a different room and skip a whole puzzle that is super long.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the old days for a little bit. You know, right here, sepia effect. You just need those scan lines to be complete.
I would love sepia scan lines. That sounds hilarious.
Okay, there's some interesting movement going right there.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is target running. As we've said before, trappers, they don't see you, they can only hear you. So what the game intends for you to do is to sneak around them so they don't teleport you to the trapper dimension. What we do is, it looks a bit like stair skating in Resident Evil Remake. Basically, you just pump the run button so you get a bit of extra speed without alerting the trappers to the fact that you're there.
And incoming is number 3, the Zoo of Enga.
Yep, in Edward's chapter, he comes in this room and 3 different monsters burst out and you have to fight them. Now as Alex, you'd go ahead and cast those same monsters and load them back in.
And the last rats of the run.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy it.
But it turns out, if you watch a cutscene, the barrier that keeps you from leaving this room just disappears. That's all you have to do. A little fun Easter egg is in that room. In the background, some of the models in there are old models from the N64 version of Eternal Darkness that they were working on.
You also saw Pandora cast that sanity pool, so that's floating behind her, and she's timing this exactly so that as soon as she goes into the next room, it'll get to that threshold we mentioned for the sanity, and it'll reset the sepia effect, and it'll warp her to the origin point of that room, not the worm room, and that would be the worm warp. It skips a whole bind section. We saw that earlier where she bound one of the horrors and it was just 2 of them. Now it's 3 of them. And it's a very slow, miserable mess for them to fight each other and clear the barrier. But there you go. Now it's gone.
And it's actually really lucky that that happens, because in the original worm room, you actually just get teleported back to the teleporter you used to get in. But for some reason in that room, it teleports you to the entrance. It's very useful.
Thank you, developers, for putting that there.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going for number 2. So this gives us time for one donation.
All right, you've got it. Unintendo donates $64 and they say, amazing Eternal Darkness run, Pandora Jane. So when do you think you'll be playing Eternal Darkness Sanity's Redemption at a GDQ event? what do you mean? That was just a sanity effect?
Yeah, no, that's
you so much
for
for
the
that
next
donation.
one.
It's coming soon.
Yeah. That's gonna be my next speed game, I think. Okay, so this reveal right here, we're making a reveal. You know, there's a lot of, like, thoughtful routing into Enga, like which parts we do first. You want to connect different parts that, you know, have like similar puzzles. So this reveal right here reveals a piece of the floor that you are not allowed to step into because I guess you're too scared or something, because there's actually nothing bad there, but whatever. Actually, there's an invisible wall. Okay, it's because of that. But yeah, we also use this to reveal some trappers. Okay, so there's gonna be some trappers incoming after this pillar right here. We're gonna activate this one early, so it doesn't bother me on my way back. And then on this room, if you don't enter with a reveal, you're gonna see a very long cutscene of these trappers getting invisible. But that cutscene never happens if you can already see them, okay? So more target running right here. just so they don't notice me. There's still a bunch here. I'm gonna try to make them explode if I can. There's one, and here's the other one. There you go. Nice.
For casual play, another option instead of trying to deal with that is if you just cast a 3-point magic attack that will hit every trapper in the room and kill them. They only have 1 hit point.
Yeah, we actually used to do that. Like on 2019. Or I guess even 2020, before we got tire running.
Ooh, there might be some fireworks
okay.
right here.
Hopefully.
3 special friends hanging out for you.
Let's see if I can do it for you.
They want to take you for a trip.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
With
I
better
couldn't
luck, you can
activate the
actually,
green one.
Yeah, with good luck, the green one is between the 2 red ones, and you can just get a whole light show there.
So last assignment of the run. What am I doing here? I'm doing a free guess to get a pull into a shield. So there you can see very well with this camera how multicast works and how you can link 2 spells together. So just to put it on perspective, and like, so you can understand how cool free cast is. Back then we used to stand still during spells. And when you have spells of level 7, that's 5 seconds. Every time you do a spell of level 7, 5 seconds, you have to put, your controller down. You're not doing anything. You're just waiting. You also cannot get damage, otherwise it kind of gets canceled. Now you can just move all the time. So Enga actually, it's now a much more entertaining segment because of that.
Now we're about to find out if we picked the correct rooms. We
Nice.
did.
Yay.
Free cast might be the most important trick we've discovered, just because not only the time savings from the casting themselves, but all the additional tricks that have been discovered because of that.
Let's see if we got this. It's 8 frames for this to work, and then 2 frames that crashed the game. And it seems that we didn't get the 2 bad frames.
Hey, there we go.
We got it. So here you're able to move during that cutscene, and if you can change the camera during that movement, you're gonna cancel the cutscene. Good thing is this barrier only appears during the cutscene. So you're able to cancel it, voila, there's no barrier. And you can just go on. But yeah, that one can be very scary. That's what I say before. So something for you to take into account is I've been saving this entire run. I'm losing like a minute on saving just to make the marathon safe, because this game doesn't have autosave, It's some older times we have to save manually. I did another save there for the last fight, which is Pious. So I'm probably not gonna be talking a whole lot during Pious unless something hype or something very bad happens, okay? So you commentators, you take it from here.
Yeah, here's Pius. So they're both summoning their ancients, and while that's going on, Pius and Alex have to fight each other with their weapons of choice. Alex has a sword, and that's all? Question mark? And Pius has a staff made of a spine and like hips on top of it. It's pretty badass. Basically, they're gonna have to be Pandora's gonna be hitting Pius with Alex, and then in between phases, the ghosts of all of the people that have succumbed to the darkness over the course of the game are going to be coming back to fight against the artifact that Pius has, and see what happens.
Also, no crash. Let's go. That's the first thing that has to align for us. No crash on the pause.
Yep. Make sure all the right items are set up in the inventory. Otherwise, you crash on your first pause.
The spawns for this artifact are random, but we can kind of manipulate them by positioning ourselves correctly. So far, this is a really good artifact phase just because of how close it spawned each time.
Cannot be good all the time. So we got a slightly far away that's what we call a bad artifact. And again,
That's
just like Nono
commentator's
said,
curse right there. The moment they said
exactly.
it's good.
You can control it. You can just get better chances, and that's why I was trying to get. We call that artifact manipulation. We try to get Pies on very specific spots of the fight. But yeah, once you kind of lose your streak, of good artifacts, it's really hard to go back to good artifacts later.
It's really important not to get hit during any of the ghost phases because that brings you back to Alex, and then you have to hit the artifact again and then do that ghost again. So it loses a lot of time every time you get hit as a ghost.
Pius was so far away there.
This whole sequence also really helps demonstrate the difference in character speed. Because now we saw how good Kareem was running. Now you see poor Max is just really not moving very fast at all.
Get there, buddy. Oh, you can do it.
Oh, these artifacts.
Yeah,
This is terrible.
just moving from one end of the hall to the other.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna go for the last one right here.
We'll also see.
With our boy.
We'll see one ghost.
Sir not appear.
We have no idea who this is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know who this is, but he's our boy anyways.
Sir not appearing in this game.
These horror games with the cut content.
Where's the artifact? There it is.
Oh, it is.
Okay, this is very good position.
All right. So coming up, Pandora's going to use animation canceling to use the most broken weapon in the game. Stack a bunch of damage. If you remember, she did an enchant a couple rooms ago. That'll come into effect. She has to have really good positioning because too close, and it does. It makes Pius warp away, and too far away, it doesn't do that much damage. So.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
and
need
after a while he gets some shields that really nullify your damage. Oh, she did it.
Yep. You need the Gladius for the first part of the fight, but once the artifact is destroyed, any enchanted weapon will work. And
Yeah,
well, who
and
needs a
time-
sword when you've got a shotgun?
Time is coming in 3, 2, 1, time.
All right.
There you go. Nice. All right, that was pretty good. How was the time?
Oh my
Nice.
god.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Sub 130 with the saves. Jesus.
That's the third ever sub 130.
The Roberta skip was so good.
Sub 130
Yeah.
and marathon. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, that's really good. So you know something interesting. If I wouldn't do a record last week, this would have been a record.
Yeah.
But
True.
since I did that, my record now is 126 something. So, but yeah. In any
Lots of
case,
hype
this
and
was
Yeah.
very, very good run.
Rats.
Lots of hype in chat for you.
Nice. So I hope everyone really liked this game. This game is awesome. You should really run this game if you want to do it. Have a lot of tutorials out there. We are a small yet active community. If you ask anything on the Discord, we have a Discord for speedruns of the game. We're gonna answer there. I'm always willing to help runners. Also, if you don't want to run it, just play it. It's a great game. Like, it holds up very well. Awesome game for its time, and even today. Just remember to save because it's not auto save. Remember to do that. Like you remind me in the middle of the run. And something very important. I want to give some shout outs. So I need to give big shout outs to Sir. Sir, like I mentioned in the interview before, is the one great MVP, master legend glitch hunter of this game. Most of the technology we have in this game has been discovered by Sir. He doesn't run the game, but he just keeps discovering stuff. Eternal Darkness is in such a place thanks to Sir discovering stuff and then me pushing, the game with the things that Sir discovered. Also, shout outs to Toast that has helped us a lot hacking the game and helping us with just all the hacking abilities you can imagine, basically. And of course, the old runners, like Swiken, making some big stuff before Wormtalon, and of course, Nono, GibGirl, you also run from this era. And, the oldest SDA era too, like Mad Andy, Spiraloud, and Ulscope, all very important. Everyone did something for this game, and everyone else is on the Discord. Thank you for all your help. And yeah, and thank you for having me, GDQ.
And follow Pandora_Jane at twitch.tv.
Holy buckets, what a run that was. Thank you so much, Pandora Jane. That menuing, I have so many comments here just blown away by your menuing, your skill. Let's get a little bit more hype in chat for Pandora Jane and that wonderful run. Thank you so much for that. Really bringing the hype here for the late night horror block. Speaking of some of those comments and donations, let's get them in here. We've got Kaylor with $25. They say Pandora is an eldritch goddess of sanity warping menu tech and elegant gameplay. Thank you for this awesome speed run. Thank you, Kaylor, for that donation. We appreciate it. And like Pandora was saying, she wants you to play this game. We've got Ted with $25. They say, I have never heard of this game, but now thanks to Pandora, I want to try it. This is the magic of AGDQ. I recently learned my family has HLRCC, so I hope to donate what I can. Ted, thank you for that donation, and I hope all is well with the health of your family. And then we've got $25 from Jesse Lockhart. They say, loving this run of Eternal Darkness. Good luck, Pandora Jane. Your menuing skills alone are blowing my mind. You are not alone in that feeling. That was some fantastic skill on display there. All right, well, we are going to take it away with just a little break. Get up, stretch, hydrate, feel good, because we've got more great games coming up right after this. All right, welcome back to AGDQ 2022 online, powered by Twitch. I am THEKyleThomas, and I am still reeling from that Eternal Darkness run. I took, 1,000 hours to beat that game, mostly because I was too scared to continue on at any given moment. I would have to turn the lights on and wait until daytime again. This has just been a wonderful horror block. Despite being scared of the games, I love the speed runs. We still have so many awesome donations with wonderful comments here for Eternal Darkness. I'm going to read a few more of them here. We've got Comedy Reflux. They gave $10. They say Eternal Darkness is in my top 3 favorite games. My favorite game that never got a sequel. Thanks for putting it in GDQ. Well, Comedy Reflux, as somebody who had literally nothing to do with putting it into GDQ, you are welcome. I'm very glad it was in here. And I've got, oh my gosh, I can't believe, I'm sure this is done 1,000 times, but I had to do it. We've got $50 from Lost, who says, Eternal Darkness, my old friend. Thank you very much. I have to imagine that that is done every time someone plays it, possibly. D gives $25. They say, you know what really drains my sanity? The crazy rate these donations are coming in. The Eldritch gods are on our side. D, thank you so much for that donation. We really appreciate it. Speaking of which, when you're given these wonderful, generous donations, you get a chance to put them towards a bunch of different incentives. And right now, we're getting ready to play Kuon. And we have a bid war that's going to close any second now, which is going to be the yin phase versus the yang phase. And I have direct word in my ear from the runner that the yang phase is the way to do it. So that is currently behind by a $300-ish. So if you got a little last second snipe, or if we got a big team who's going to do a collective snipe, let's go ahead and try to get that in here quick. We also have a bonus game, which is Rocket League, which is, soccer cars is just one of the best things to watch out there. That bonus game is a $100,000 incentive, and we're very early in raising money for it. We've got about $8,000 right now, so we want to definitely extend GDQ as long as possible. We want all of the people back in the studio to have to stay there as long as